Hi, my name is Luke, and today we are going to be looking at The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood.
So first, let's talk a little about the author of this book. Margaret Atwood was born in 1939, second of 3 children, and grew up in Ottawa, Canada. Atwood began writing plays and poems as early as 6 years old, but didn't actually attend school full-time until she was 8 years old.
Surprising.
Later, she went on to study at Victoria College at University of Toronto and the Radcliffe College of Harvard University. Her first published work was a pamphlet of poetry titled Doubled Persephone in 1961 at the age of 22.
19 years later, her most popular work, The Handmaid's Tale, was published. She wasn't convinced she could write a dystopian novel, but over the course of 2 years, the book was finally published. Atwood was heavily influenced by her birth and early life in World War II. It can't happen here could not be depended on. Anything could happen anywhere given the circumstances. This quote from Atwood in her interview with the New York Times is good insight to her train of thought for The Handmaid's Tale. Her experiences with war gave way to Atwood's ideas for the potential future of America if wars like that keep happening.
This story takes place in the fictional Republic of Gilead, where the protagonist lives as a handmaid. This is a fertile woman that was taken away from her previous family and brought to a government-ranking commander to try to conceive a child for him. These women were denied an education, the right to vote, and the right to work for pay, along with being forbidden from reading. The audience never actually finds out the handmaid's real name, but rather she is referred to by her assigned name, Offred, meaning literally of Fred, as if she is owned by her commander, or offered due to the fact that she is
offering up her body
for the commander to conceive.
Is it already time for the open letter? Today's open letter is to Margaret Atwood.
What did you have to go through to write something so disturbing and dystopian?
Why?
So the main idea behind The Handmaid's Tale was not to scare us or warn us of a future, but rather to avoid a certain way of life.
This is why Margaret Atwood describes her book as speculative fiction instead of science fiction.
In the future, we expect progress, things to get better, but it is important to realize that in The Handmaid's Tale, the future is regressive, returning to states that were separated.
There's a lot of symbolism and stereotypes throughout the novel. Men are defined by their military ranks, while women are defined by gender roles in the household. There are 4 different types of women in this dystopian society. Marthas, who do the cooking and cleaning of the households, Econo wives, who are less expensive women that are all assigned to the household tasks, as well as conceiving children, commanders' wives, who are there to support their husbands and conceive, and finally, handmaids, whose only role is to conceive her commander's child if the wife is infertile.
The commander's wife in Offred's household is quite interesting, however. Offred mentions that she knows who she is, or rather was. Serena Joy was her name. She sang on a religious TV show Offred used to watch with her mother. She went out later and advocated for women to stay in the home and take care of the children and clean. She claimed it was her sacrifice to be doing this touring. Now that she is put in her place, however, she seems very discontent with the fact she took her own advice.
The external conflict is a war between Gilead and an unknown opposition, although we don't know against who or the reasons behind it. We soon find out that some of the same controversial topics or ideas that we struggle with today were present in this book as well, such as rape, suicide, homosexuals, religion, government safety, abortion, sexism, and self-image. But in the midst of all these conflicts, we focus in on the idea of individual versus society.
One of The Handmaid's Tale's most shocking scenes, and basically the platform of the entire novel, is the ceremony that happens every month. During the so-called ceremony, Offred is summoned to the commander's bedroom, where she lies between the wife's legs as they are one. Offred stays completely clothed while the commander enters the room. While she lays there, knowing and accepting her fate, the commander pushes up Offred's skirt and forces himself upon her in hopes of conceiving a child. As Offred lays on the bed, staring at the ceiling, she examines the different perspectives of each party. The pain she feels, how uncomfortable this must be for Serena Joy, and how frustrating and awful this must be for her commander, too.
Offred is a very empathetic character. She's always thinking about other people and their thought, actions, and circumstances. Throughout the ceremony, Offred is thinking how awful this must be for the wife. She's not nearly as concerned about herself as she is about how horrible this must be for Serena Joy to experience. Offred also considers other situations less directly than the last example. Better never means better for everyone. It always means worse for some. This quote is a thought Offred has in considering the circumstances of those less fortunate than herself. She feels empathy for them and wishes things could just go back to how they were.